Hi, it's Mrs. Fletcher, and I want to take a few moments to talk to you about the most important part of any essay, which is a thesis statement. So we've talked about the fact that an essay is a piece of writing designed to address or prove a single focused statement. It is not a story. It is meant to prove something that you have to say. You should always begin planning your essay with a thesis statement. I will have students who tell me, I just like to start writing. And although I think there is value in that, I think if you struggle at all with getting your essay organized, then the thesis statement is the place to start. It guides your entire essay. And so it belongs at the end of the introduction paragraph. You should think about the direction that you want to go before you start heading that way. So a thesis is one sentence that tells the reader what your whole essay is about and or what point you plan to prove in the essay. So when I look at your essay, I should be able to look at the end of your introduction paragraph, find your thesis statement there, and know exactly what it is you plan to tell me in this entire essay. It is the most important sentence that you will write in the entire essay. So you should take some time to craft it and do your best on this part. So here are some samples. Let's say this is our sample prompt. Should this book, Fahrenheit 451, be included in the freshman curriculum? So should we be teaching Fahrenheit 451 to freshmen at Ponderosa High School? I'm going to show you some thesis statements and talk about quality and what makes a better thesis statement, what makes the best type of thesis statement. So if we read this one, Fahrenheit 451 is a famous classic novel that should be included in the freshman curriculum. That is a thesis statement. I could read this and know exactly what this writer plans to prove in the essay. It's clear, it's to the point, but it's average. One thing you should know about thesis statements is they must be arguable. So when we read this, because it includes the word should especially, someone else could come back and say, no, I disagree. It should not be taught to freshmen. And that's one way you know that you've truly written a thesis. It has to be arguable. This one is better. We're getting to above average quality. Fahrenheit 451 should be included in the freshman curriculum because Bradbury is a master of literary devices like repetition and foreshadowing. This thesis statement is better because it is more detailed and precise. It also lays out a plan for the whole essay. Let's say this is a 4-paragraph essay. That's what I will typically ask you to write this year. We have the 2 topics for our paragraphs right here. In our first body paragraph, we would write about repetition in the book and how Bradbury is a master at using repetition. And then in the second body paragraph, we would write about foreshadowing. So see how we have an entire plan for the essay right here in this sentence. Our whole essay now can be organized in our minds. All right, so here's an A quality thesis. This I would give an A2 for these reasons on top. It's specific, it's precise, it's written well, meaning the way the words go together. If your thesis statement does not make sense to the reader, then it's not accomplishing its task. And this particular thesis statement looks at what I would call the bigger picture of this whole idea of the book. So here's your example. In life, people face difficult decisions all of the time, and through his mastery of repetition and foreshadowing in Fahrenheit 451, Bradbury unfolds a story that is useful to all young people as they embark on the journey of self-discovery. Here's another A-quality thesis. When Bradbury unveils the theme in Fahrenheit 451, the idea of following one's core beliefs rather than society's expectations, he also unveils a truth that all young minds should contemplate. All right, so let's switch gears and talk about the essay that you are actually going to write. I don't like to use examples from the essay you will write because I don't want to steal anyone's ideas. But for our first essay this year, I'm going to give you some starters for your thesis on what does it take to survive. So here's our prompt we've been working on the whole time as we've been reading our short stories. What does it take to survive? So I have several options here for you. Now, you don't have to use these formats, but if you need a place to start, you won't be discounted for using these formats this time. So here's the first option. In order to survive, a person needs to be blank and blank. You have to come up with what you think those two characteristics are that allow people to survive in all kinds of situations. Here's another one. Survival in 2020 is different than in the past. Survival now takes, and you would make a statement. Or again, you could choose two characteristics. What does it take to survive right now in our society? Next one. Only a person who has blank and blank will survive. And then finally, the line between death and survival is crossed only by those who are willing to. Okay, so those are some places to start. Your assignment for our next class is to write 3 possible thesis statements for your essay in order to answer this question: what does it take to survive? So remember, you're getting quite a bit of time to do this because this is the most important sentence that you will write in your essay. So take your time, give it some thought, and write down 3 different ideas for thesis statements.